We're good.
Yep.
All right, what's up, guys? I'll give everybody a couple minutes. I just wanted to say I appreciate all you guys. There's been, I want to say it was 344 views last time I looked, and I'm just gonna be flat out honest. I was expecting. I actually told my wife, I said, if 10 people watch this, I'll be happy. So I appreciate you guys for sharing that. It's something that means a lot to me, something I deal with on a daily basis, and even maybe a little bit right now. Anxiety, sometimes your mouth gets dry, sometimes you make a little more spit. So that's kind of where I'm at right now, because tonight won't be quite as easy as the anxiety talk, I don't think, because I want to talk about depression. I'll give like 10 more seconds. Those of you that are out there, say hi. My wife's doing the filming, so all inquiries for help or maybe all troubleshooting commentary, send them to her, not me. So, but tonight we're going to be talking about depression. And depression is something I've dealt with about the same amount of time that I guess really since I started having panic attacks, they coincided. And I wrote down a couple things today about depression. And one of those things that a lot of people do not realize, depression causes physical pain. When I say that, physical pain, I'm talking your joints hurt, your bones hurt. Yeah, I'm not going to get super biblical, but I want to read you something because I think this is one of the best definitions of what depression pain feels like. David says this in the Psalms. He says in Psalm 51:8, make me to hear joy and gladness, that the bones which thou hast broken may rejoice. And he said that after just things had gone haywire for him, and he was in a state of deep depression. And for those of you that aren't Christians out there, I'm not going to bombard you with biblical stuff, but I am going to say this: get ready, because on the next one you may get bombarded with biblical stuff, because we're going to talk about the good of depression and where my help really comes from. But back to depression again, one of the things is you hurt. You cannot think straight. You think irrationally. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Anxiety obviously is a big part of it. Even though you're low, somehow your brain still seems to be functioning 1,000 miles an hour, kind of like the Australian Shepherd who is licking my hand down here. And just so you know, there's that guy right there. But anxiety goes along with it. You get to a point where you have no interest in anything. And I'm talking anything, the things that matter most. And I'm going to tell you my number one sign that I am suffering from depression. I stop singing. I listen to Christian music. I listen to some rock music too. And when I am at my worst, I completely quit singing. And I will say this too. One of the times when I was struggling the most, there's a song by Christian Stanfield every one of you that suffers from depression need to listen to, and it's called Always. And it's Christian with a K, Stanfield, not Stanfield. Just trust me on that one. But you don't have any energy, like you don't want to do anything. You just want to lay around. And I want to encourage you to do something else. Something that is heavily linked with depression is thyroid issues. Get your thyroid checked. If you have anxiety or depression, get a simple I think it's a CMP, Comprehensive Metabolic Panel ran, because they can tell you if your thyroid's off, and if your thyroid is up or down, it can also cause depression. I'll tell you a little bit about me. How bad did my depression get? And I'm going to tell you when it got this bad. I scored a 23, I think it was, out of 25 on the depression scale. And any of you who know anything about that, that's bad. It's like really bad. You better be watching somebody for suicide bad at that point. And I'll tell you when that happened. And I'm going to share some of my story with you. I dealt with depression, but I'd never dealt with it at this level until I left a successful student ministry and walked away from my family. Yep, that's right. I did that. Had tons of students that depended on me, and this is kind of a confession to them and a confession to the world. I'm sorry, and I love you guys still. Some of you might be watching right now and you wonder about me. I'm back in church. I love the church I'm going to, and I still love you guys too, and I just really messed up. And I'm going to tell you how I paid for it. One of the ways I paid for it was depression, but we had a really good thing going. And I walked away from my family, and when I got the most depressed is at that point. I just left them. And I'll say this too, there was a female involved in this, another huge mistake I made. And I'm going to throw this in because you're going to laugh because it's funny. But just trust me on this. If you ever make a bad decision and you find an ex floating in vinegar, and I'm talking about a voodoo doll in the freezer, just go ahead and run then, because that's what you should do. Get out, run. But that's not even when my depression got the worst, was through all of that. My depression got the worst when I moved back to Oakdale. I ended up living in a trailer by myself, and I'm going to tell you that trailer became like a prison cell to me. I would go to work. I was working 12-hour nights, and we were in an enclosed area, and I appreciate, and I'm going to throw these two names out there, John Mott and Tyler Thomas. They probably are two of the reasons I'm still alive right now, and I'm not just kidding about that. But I lived in a trailer. I stayed in my living room. I cooked on nothing but I cooked nothing but in a microwave when my kids weren't there. I ate patio burritos. It was kind of a running joke at work. I ate patio burritos 3, sometimes 4 times a week. I was living off $30, maybe $40 a week on a good week. We'd work the shift. I called it the stinger. I don't know what they called it, but we'd get off at 5 in the morning, come back at 11 a.m. the same day, and we would work for a while, and that was so I'd have enough money so I could take my kids on weekends to do things. And I'm going to tell you something. Depression-wise, that was one of the things that hurt me the most. Not because I didn't have money, but because I couldn't do things for other people. One of the things that just makes me happier than anything else in this world is to be able to do something for somebody without them expecting it and let nobody ever know I did those things. That's one of my favorite things in this world to do, and it makes my heart the happiest, is to give to somebody. And those of you that know me, that really, really know me, you know that's true, and I love you guys. But I was struggling, and one of the things I look forward to is when we get off on Friday morning, it was payday for one thing. And one of the treats I'd let myself have is we would either go eat breakfast, me, Tyler, and John Mott. John Mott might mooch some donut holes off of the people at the donut place. But anyway, we would go eat donuts, or I would go to Jules and I'd go get 3 Boudin balls. That was like my treat to myself. And then I would go home and I would sit there and I would lay there. And if I didn't have the kids, I'm going to confess this to you. There is a weekend that I can remember where for the whole entire weekend I had Phenergan from nausea, from sinus drainage. I would take a Phenergan, and then I'd wake up for maybe 15, 20 minutes, get something to drink, and I'd take a NyQuil. And from Friday when I got off until Sunday night, probably at midnight, that's what I did. I had no money to go do anything. I had no desire to go anywhere. And by the way, when I went to Walmart, I had a plan. Like, I would go in Walmart and I had this certain route and I'd get through it and I'd get the heck out of there because I didn't want to talk to anybody. And I love people. And that's what depression does to you. It takes away your joy. It takes away your desire to do the things that make you happy. And I'm going to tell you something, guys. Something that absolutely drove me insane. If you know someone who is dealing with depression, even if you have the best of intentions, pray for them, tell them you love them. Don't just say, hey, it's going to get better, because it doesn't always just get better. It doesn't work like that. Life doesn't work like that. There's nobody watching right now that your life has been great all the time. There's nobody right now that's ever guaranteed that tomorrow's going to get better. And when you're depressed, It's the last thing you want to hear, because it's not just a feeling of being down. People used to tell me that too. Oh, well, you'll get back up. You'll feel better eventually. It does not work like that. There's an imbalance in our brains. And mine, I could be fine one day, wake up the next day and be an absolute walking disaster. And it might be guilt, and we're going to talk about guilt one night too. Guilt was one of the main drivers of my depression. But it might be guilt, but it could be anything. But guilt was one of those things that I just struggled with so much. And I remember laying in that trailer, and it was like a cell. And I got a Superman shirt on, and I'm going to tell y'all a little secret about that. I've always worn superhero shirts. All of you that know me know that. And if you see me in public, I'm probably going to have one on. And here's why. Because the S meant, in his language, it meant hope. But not only that, superheroes always offered hope in hopeless situations. And there's some of you watching this right now that are depressed, that feel like your situation may not ever come to an end. And I can't promise that everything's going to get better tomorrow, but what I can promise you is that people care. And if you know that people care and there's people in your lives and you reach out, especially if you reach out to me, I care and I'll help you. I'll do anything I can for you. But things, I'm not going to tell you they will get better, but it is possible for them to get better. And I'm going to confess this to you too right now. For me to be able to function, people talk about this all the time. You're a Christian. You shouldn't worry. And I pray, and I try to hand those things over to God, and I'm guilty of this, taking them back. But I'm going to tell you this too. I cannot function. I'm on Valium right now for anxiety. I take Abilify, and I also take Zoloft, and it has helped me. Medication, there's people out there that are going to tell you as a Christian you shouldn't take medication. I'm going to tell you as a Christian, if you're at a level where you think you might be suicidal, you need to talk to someone right now. When I get through, you can stop me right now. There's suicide prevention lines. You know how to find it on your phone. You find somebody and you talk to them right now. You call me if you need to when I get through with this, and I will talk to you right now. But do something about it. Talk to someone about it. Don't sit there by yourself, because I can tell you this, the one thing I do know, depression will never fix itself sitting alone in a room. You may get some revelation, but as you sitting there by yourself, it's never going to fix it. I remember this, one of the things that helped me the most, Tyler Thomas and I would fish at the pond at Natural Advantage and catch fish that I tasted one time. They didn't taste like Parmesan cheese, but I'm pretty sure there's some out there with 3 eyeballs somewhere swimming around out there. And I'm just kidding about that. I appreciate the people at Natural Advantage, and I've got some really good friends out there, and I love you guys, and I miss you guys, and that's just a joke. But we would go out there and we'd fish in that pond and spending time with him, and sometimes he was 100 yards from me. But spending time with him spending that time with me when I didn't have any money, when I had nothing else to do, those things. And then he and I worked out together too. We'd get off in the mornings, and for $12 a month I could be a member of the gym, I think, and we'd work out together. Working out will help you a lot. The endorphin release is proven to help with depression. But I got to the point, and I'm just about through with where I'm going to stop, because this is the ugly. This is the point John Talbert got to. The guy that you know, that you've probably seen not smiling very few times. This is what I prayed one night. I prayed, God, if you don't wake me up in the morning, I'm okay with that. I prayed, I said, God, I don't know why you have not lightning bolted me right now. I prayed, God, I walked away from my family, and I really don't even think I deserve to see them again. And if that's how you feel, God, I totally understand if I never get to see my kids again. That's how dark I got. And guys, I'm going to tell you this right now, 2 things. God loves you enough that he's not going to lightning bolt you. He wants you to confess it, that you messed up, and I'm confessing that right now in front of anybody who's watching. But God loves you that much that he's never going to lightning bolt you. And no matter where you've been, there is a chance you can come back. And no matter what you've done with your kids, and no matter where your relationship's at, I really believe this too. It can be fixed. Don't ever think like I did that night. But I felt like that was my punishment, and it was a punishment I deserved. And that's how bad it got for me. I looked at my life, and I'd gone to seminary. I worked full time, and for 10 straight years I went to seminary. I have 2 master's degrees. I was about to start on my PhD, and I was laying there on that couch playing Man of Steel in the background, because that's what I would go to sleep to every day. Some of you know that know me. I've told that story before. Another reason I wear the Superman shirts, this one especially reminds me of that. I would let that play in the background, but I would go to sleep with just the hope that one day things were going to get better. But I believe my life and pretty much everything that I'd worked for 10 years was done. I got to a point, and golly, this is really bad. I got scared to check the mail because I knew people were about to start suing me because I owed money to credit card companies and all these things. I got to the point where I didn't want to leave my house anymore. I got to the point where I really didn't want to interact with people. I got to the point where I didn't want to go to my job. I got to the point where all I wanted to do was sleep. The only entertainment I had, I didn't have a TV except for a DVD player. I didn't have internet. I had 2 gigs of data on my phone, and I'm going to confess this one to y'all too. When I was at the gym, I was downloading using the wireless at the gym so I could watch movies and series when I got home on my phone. That was my entertainment. That was the point that John Talbert was at his absolute lowest. And this is where I'm going to end this right now. That little route that I took in Walmart, one night I was on that little route and I took a sidetrack. And I walked down the supplement aisle. And when I walked down the supplement aisle, I looked up and I saw somebody I totally was not expecting, and that somebody was Brian Manuel. I've given you all the bad, the ugly tonight that I could probably give in about 10 minutes of what depression feels like, what it looks like, where I got, how I totally ruined my life, how I wanted to be dead, all those things. And you may feel like that tonight. I pray you don't. If you do, send me something. Let me know. But I'm going to tell you, Brian Manuel found me on the supplement aisle, and that's where the bad and the ugly stopped for me, was it began to change that night. And I'll tell you the rest of that story probably next week. But I appreciate you guys, and I hope you share this with people, because you're talking about a guy who was in full-time ministry for over 11 years, a guy who ministered to people for 22 years out of the pulpit, a guy who was ordained, a licensed minister. I destroyed my life. I got to the lowest point I've ever been in my life. But you can come back. But you got to find help. Don't be scared to ask for help. I'm not going to tell you, oh, it's going to get better. It's only going to get better if you seek help and you're absolutely honest with somebody and tell them you need some help. I love you guys, and I mean that, and I say that with all my heart. I care about each and every one of you, even the ones of you that I may not know, that somebody sent you this link, shared this link with you, that you may watch this tomorrow or something. I care about you too, so message me, let me know, and I'll give you some resources to get in touch with some people that can help you. Depression hurts. It's one of the worst things I've ever dealt with. I still fight it every single day. And like in that video to that Disturbed song I shared, it's like a demon inside of you. You think it's gone, and then it comes back. So I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go tonight and just let you know that I love you one more time, because sometimes when you're depressed, that's what you need to hear more than anything. I love you one more time, and I hope you guys have a good night. Bye.